Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk. I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, coming at you here today, coming from you live from lovely New Jersey. And today I got some exciting news. Today is episode 1 AV. After Verizon, I'm done with them. I'm out. So all those other people that heard me complaining about it, it is done. It is a done deal. Coming from you live today because, I just wanted to, I wanted to gloat a little bit. Not so much gloat, but I just wanted to let it be known that I am free. So with that being said, today's episode, kind of shorter episode for you, but we want to go over, again, as we're getting closer to the start of the season. I wanted to bring to you today the NFHS points of emphasis that we need to go over as officials. So this is a great episode, once again, for all of those coaches that are out there and also the officials that are out there. But before we begin, got to go through my quick spiel here. So if you are enjoying the show, do me a favor, hit that follow and subscribe button right now. It's totally free and it helps more people find the show. While you're at it, I'd love if you can leave a quick review or a rating on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple, whatever it may be. It only takes a minute and your feedback means a lot. And if you know somebody that would be interested in the show or would enjoy the show, other coaches, other officials, share it with them. Share this episode with them. Share any of the other episodes with them. Or post about it on social media because every share helps the community grow. And don't forget, check out the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel posted up right there for you. There is the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MikeD, the referee. You can go to the YouTube channel where you can see all of these different shows. Where you can be able to see them a little bit more and see those PowerPoints. So make sure you go there and subscribe. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go the extra mile and make a small donation to help support the show, you could head over to the buymeacoffee.com/MikeD, the referee. I think it actually comes up as buy me a beer, but I drink coffee, beer, bourbon, whatever it might take. But every bit helps, okay? It helps me keep the content going and hopefully keep upgrading the equipment, getting this stuff up there. And it'll help me pay for not having to deal with Verizon anymore. So all those fun things. But once again, I do appreciate that. At this point, take a quick pause for some words about my partners at Vets to Ref. So this is going to be on the recorded version. Hi. I'm Mike D, the referee from the podcast Whistle Talk. I want to take a moment to talk to you about Vets to Refs. Vets to Refs is on a mission to help U.S. military veterans and first responders become licensed youth and high school sports officials. They, along with their partners, assist with licensing fees, providing equipment, and offering training so you can give back to your community and help solve the official shortage. Start your journey at vets2refs.com. That's VETS, the number 2, refs.com. So we're back. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I was talking about earlier, we are going to be going over, basically I'm trying to share the screen here, our NFHS points of emphasis that we have this year. And this is not anything that is new or not anything that is mind-blowing whatsoever. But it's right there in our NFHS rulebook, which I just received my newest copy of the NFHS rulebook the other day. I already bought the digital version of it, so I've already been looking through that. But I got the hard copy of it now, so I am good to go. I am golden with it, so it is all set and ready for me to go. But I want to go over our points of emphasis. So there are three major points of emphasis this year, and none of them, again, are new. And for some of them, it is the bane of our existence as both coaches and officials when it comes to talking about these things. So the first one, and the real fun one, is the illegal and improperly worn player equipment. So I've got up here, this is actually from the NFHS newsletter that they sent out. So all of the officials have it. Again, it's right in our rule book. And this is something that should have been sent to all of the high schools. So your athletic director should have it. But it's stuff that they want us to really be keeping an eye out for this year. And what it states is that in high school, the players must adhere to specific equipment standards for safety and fairness concerns. Let me repeat that. In high school football, ladies and gentlemen, this is not NCAA. This is not the NFL. So in high school football, players must adhere to specific equipment standards for safety and fairness. So the illegal equipment refers to items that are prohibited, such as your jewelry, your tinted visors, your eye black, which we'll talk about in a moment, the armbands worn around the upper arms, necks, or legs, back pads that are not covered, sweatpants, uniform adornments, including towels that do not conform to the rules, which the towels are basically just the length or making sure that it does not look like a penalty flag or a football. But really quickly, I want to talk about the tinted visors because we just recently had our state association clinic here in New Jersey, got the whole state of New Jersey together. And we also went over our points of emphasis and our rules as a beginning of our clinic. And the one thing that we found out is there is a company that's out there, and I'm not going to name any brands or anything like that, but they have what is known as Prism Clear for these visors. And Prism Clear comes in two shades, crystal clear or with a reddish hue. But it's named the exact same thing on the package. The one with the reddish hue, that is not legal. Okay, the one that is crystal clear is legal, but the one that has any type of tint to it is illegal. So we got to make sure that we are abiding by that and make sure that the players are abiding by that. On the other hand, improperly worn equipment pertains to all equipment that is otherwise legal but is not being worn as intended, such as knee pads. Okay, making sure that the knees are covered. Tooth and mouth guard protectors not being worn as the play starts. Okay, quarterbacks are sometimes guilty of this because they take their mouth guard out to say the cadence and different things like that. But we got to make sure that that mouth guard is in. This also does pertain to the two mouthpieces, the one dangling and the one in the mouth. Again, we are only allowed to have one. And then the last one here is the shoulder pads not properly covered by the jersey. This one I want to talk about because we're getting into scrimmage season, and a lot of times during the scrimmage season, teams are using their practice jerseys. And with the practice jerseys, I mean, some of them are really, really ratty when it comes to the condition of them. Just do the best that you can to try to make sure that those shoulder pads are covered, because during the summer times, the players like to tuck the tops of their jerseys underneath the shoulder pads to let their shoulder pads kind of flop around while they're going because they think it makes them look tough, or it's just ripped apart. Do your best to try to keep that covered, because I have seen people get injured, basically cuts, as they're attempting to make tackles or to get tackled by that individual. The shoulder pad itself can possibly cut somebody. So make sure that they have all their equipment properly done. This is something, ladies and gentlemen, that I highly recommend during scrimmage season. You take 5 minutes out of the coach's time, bring the entire team together, and go over these details with them. Talk to them now, because week 7 comes around and, well, the official last week didn't say anything to us, or we've been wearing the tinted visor all year, and now all of a sudden you're busting our chops. Let them know today, right now, immediately, first scrimmage, before you even do the 10 and 10 plays, or however the scrimmage is being run. Talk to the coaches and the team. Bring everybody together. Continuing with what the NFHS put out there is, despite the lack of enforcement at the college level, again, the college kids are wearing bike shorts. They cannot do that at the high school level. So the rules and regulations governing high school football are designed to reduce the injury risk for players while maintaining the integrity and the fairness of the games. So once again, let's talk about the knee pads really quick. I've mentioned this probably 100 different times. You got that 6'7" kid. If they're doing their best to cover their knees, you're going to be kind of a little bit more lenient with that. It's when the kid's rolling up their knee pads or they're coming out trying to look like that college player where they're not wearing any knee pads and their thigh pad is a thin piece of paper. And again, their knees are completely exposed because they want to show off their beautiful kneecaps. Have knee pads predominantly saved knee injuries? In my opinion, no, I'm not a doctor. Have knee pads possibly saved other people from being injured, such as getting a knee driven into them? I'm sure that's more a prevalent scenario than stopping an ACL tear or MCL tear. But it's that contact, that violent force, especially with a hard running back. So just address that early in the season, again, in the preseason. And if not, there are regulations on what we can do now with that. So non-compliance with these rules can result in various penalties, ranging from the removal of the player for one play, which is the most common scenario. Again, try to get this done preseason and try to get this done pre-game. So it can continue to an unsportsmanlike conduct on the head coach when the players are illegally equipped following your pre-game certification. I've been asked about my card for having that coaches meeting pregame, and one of the first things that we ask, Coach, are your kids properly equipped? And I'm going to say 100% of the time, they've said yes. They've said yes, and then we've moved on from there. As an umpire, I'm going around, I'm looking for any casts and braces and extra things like that. But either the coaches have said yes or they say they will be by game time, because some kids come out with their pregame visors or some teams do come out in shorts for their pregame. So always the coaches are saying yes, but then it's on us pregame to make sure that it is adhered to. So while the coin toss is going on, the umpire and the referee here in New Jersey are together. Our wings, deep wings, short wings are on the sideline. Patrol them. Take a look at everybody as it's going on and try to nip that in the bud. We've had scenarios where a team had 6 of their starters kicked out on the first offensive play for illegal equipment. And unfortunately, it had a major impact on the first play of the game. One of them was the starting quarterback, 2 offensive linemen, a wide receiver. They all came out dressed as collegiate players, and the referee said, nope, off to the sideline until you get that fixed, at least one play. So they started first down, and they ended up losing 7 yards. And it was it had a major impact on it. So try to nip that in the bud beforehand. Chronic violations of the rule for properly worn equipment can significantly impact the game's fairness. A delay game penalty could be a logical consequence if the persistent offenses significantly impact the pace of play. If you continue to have to kill the clock because you're dealing with basically the same player with the same violation, you could have a delay game penalty. Chronic violations of the equipment rules by players could result in an unsportsmanlike conduct foul being assessed under Rule 153 and 981H for equipment not worn as intended. And finally, the coach who demonstrates a lack of interest in supporting these rules can also be given an unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, I understand that's a little bit of an extreme scenario. It doesn't happen often. But if you got the same kid doing the same thing over and over again, and you tell the coach, they can't play until they get it fixed, and the coach keeps on sending them out, and you have to keep stopping the game, yeah, that could lead to a 15-yarder for an unsportsmanlike conduct. Let's not let it get there. Let's, again, nip that in the bud today, preseason, nip it in the bud, pregame, get all that stuff done with so that once the ball is kicked off to start the game, their kids are playing football. Again, coaches play a pivotal role in this, in addressing the chronic violations. This goes back to, again, let's stop it today. High school football player equipment rules are a testament to the sport's commitment to player safety and team unity. This unity extends beyond the aesthetics. It reinforces the idea that each player is a part of a larger whole working together towards a common goal. So this is what the NFHS has put out there to us. Get it done today. Issuing temporary removals from the game and escalating penalties for repeated offenses are necessary if this is continuing to go on. But again, let's be proactive, not reactive. Let's stop it before it even starts. Let's get on them today in the preseason, and we'll go from there. A lot of the coaches will appreciate that the players are hearing it from us, the officials, preseason-wise, to let them know, hey, not tolerated, because the coach has been telling them and it falls on deaf ears. So it's up to us to enforce the rules. All right. Second, sportsmanship. Again, this has been a point of emphasis a couple times in my career that I've been working as an official, something that we've talked about a number of times, but it seems, again, to be getting a little bit worse at times, especially when you got the big rivalry game, when you got social media going on today. So different things like that are kind of leading to some unsportsmanlike conduct type of issues. So unsportsmanlike conduct is incompatible with the values of education-based athletics. Again, we are scholastic sports. We are high school aged players. These are young kids. Some of them are new men, okay, meaning that they're 17 or 18 years old by age, but they're still kids. So it is our job, it is the coach's job, it is the school's job to make sure that these kids are educated. And again, the percentage of these kids that are leaving high school football to play college football is minimal. From college football to the NFL, it's even less. So let's teach them the proper way of living now through sport, which is one of the greatest things that I love about the game of football. Is the ultimate team sport, and the habits that you create as a player or as a coach now carry on for the rest of your life outside of sports. So as unsportsmanlike acts increase at the collegiate and professional levels, we all must work together to ensure that high school football embodies the highest principles. The focus of the high school football is on the team, not the individual. Individual over team emphasis is contrary to the mission of educating about youth sports. So the high school game is an extremely emotional game. Listen, the game of football, I don't care what level you're at, I'm still coaching youth. The game of football is an emotional game. If you're not playing it with emotion, it's probably not being played very well. Game officials should not be overly technical in applying rules, but they should always be aware of the conduct that does not exemplify sportsmanship. Every game, we have to read a card about sportsmanship, about race, gender, ethnicity, how it will not be tolerated, and how it could lead to a player being ejected from the game and the team penalized. So again, try to nip this in the bud. Talk to the kids preseason about it. Talk to them before the game about it. In determining whether the action rises to the level of a foul, allow for brief, spontaneous emotional reactions at the end of the play. Again, for those that played the game, it's exciting. You get a sack, it's exciting. You score a touchdown, you want to cheer with your crowd. Maybe it's that kid's first ever touchdown. Who knows? And their parents are seeing them for the first time. You don't know what's going on. Allow for that to happen. But when it's something that's prolonged, something that's choreographed, or more importantly, something that is taunting, where it's directed towards the opponent or even the opponent's sidelines, that's the one that we want to nip in the bud. Now, me personally, I'd rather give a stern talking to. Okay, stern talking to on some of that stuff, especially if it's the first down point that they're doing, things like that, where it might be choreographed and they're doing it in front of the opponent's bench. Yeah, talk to the kid at that point in time. That spike, that spinning of the ball, those are all ones that we got to hit because that's one that everybody sees. So there's a couple of different things. So the following actions are unsportsmanlike conduct that should be penalized without warning. demonstration of violence, such as brandishing guns or throat slashes. Even the bow and arrow act, pulling the bow and arrow for the first down and you're shooting it at somebody. Oh, we got to hit that one for 15. Rehearsed poses. Rehearsed poses. I love the NFL. I watch the games on every game that is on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever the NFL plays. And I love that they've allowed for that now rehearsed type of celebration that they have going on. I think that is fun. But it's not, if you pay attention to it, it's not really deemed at the other team where they go into the end zone and they do the bowling scenario. Or I remember Chad Ochocinco giving CPR to the football, things like that. Those were fun type of things. Now, back in the day, that was a penalty on Chad Ochocinco. Randy Moss mooning the crowd. Well, that's not one. So that one will probably fall under the gestures with sexual connotation. So that one, you're going to have to bang. Dunking the football over the crossbar. Although it's a great feat of athletic ability, we got to hit him for that one. Removal of the helmet to celebrate or protest. Dancing, somersaults, flips, spiking, and spinning of the ball. These are all things that, even a stern talking to is not going to possibly help in this scenario. You got to hit him with it. Now, if a kid drops the ball and it bounces around, well, that's not a spike. If the kid kind of just like tosses the ball to the ground and it spins, okay, not on the tip of the ball, but it just rolls around a little bit, again, that's not a foul, and give a little bit of leniency to it. But when you have the Rob Gronkowski spike where you're trying to deflate the football, that's the one that you're going to have to nail them on. All right, so our last point of emphasis, and again, a little bit of a shorter show today, is the defenseless player and targeting. So I really do believe that this one has gotten a lot better over the years. I think the coaches are doing a great job of teaching the players how to tackle correctly, or how to tackle better. I don't even know how you want to word that one, but I think it is being addressed a lot better, and we're seeing less and less of it. But it is still there. Now, the one nice thing that we have with the NFHS is it's not truly an immediate ejectable offense. Now, there are some that we will have to eject somebody for, especially if we deem it to be done purposely and with malintent. But in NCAA, it's a flag and an ejection, and then it gets reviewed where the player could possibly come back in. So we don't have that. Well, we don't have a review system, but this is one thing where I think it does give a little bit of credence to what we're doing as officials. So a defenseless player, by definition, is a player who, because of physical position and focus of concentration, is especially vulnerable to injury. The player remains defenseless until the player's physical position or focus of concentration allows the player to have a chance to protect themselves or brace at least for partial contact, or brace at least partially for contact. I should rephrase that. Your most common types of your defenseless players are going to be passers, receivers, sliding runners, and runners whose forward progress has stopped, and players, out of players who are illegally blocked from the blind side. The blindside block's probably going to be the biggest one. And then your receivers, in my opinion, are going to be right there with them. It says defenseless player as being a passer. I don't know that we're going to throw a targeting penalty as opposed to a roughing the passer in this scenario. Again, that's my personal perspective on it. I would rather go, it's still going to be a 15-yarder, but the roughing the passer now gives you the automatic first down where the targeting does not. So I'm going to go roughing the passer in that scenario. But now when you got the sliding runners whose forward progress have stopped, again, that's going to be on our short wings for the forward progress. This is going to be on everybody. When did that slide begin? When was that runner giving themselves up? And again, this is typically the quarterbacks that do it. Most running backs and receivers are going to fight for the extra yards. I should say most running backs. Some receivers will fight for the extra yards. Some of them are going to look to go out of bounds. But we want to keep an eye on for that. And then now you got your blindside block too. And we've always talked about it, that it's when you got that broken play, when you've got a reverse, when you've got a sudden change, a change of possession, and now you got players running in opposite directions. That is our flag. Let me rephrase that. That is our smoke that there could be something happening. Okay, so that's going to raise our antennas to keep an eye on that player as you see them going opposite direction of the ball. Now, if the player wraps up or makes a wrapping motion as they are attempting to tackle that defensive player, that's not a penalty. So a player is defenseless based on their own position and concentration. It's not determined by another player's action. When the wrap-up tackle was added to the definition of defenseless player as it relates to the contact of the defenseless receiver, it created confusion, thus forcing the contact against a defenseless receiver, has been relocated by moving the wrap-up tackle portion of a defenseless player guidelines to Rule 9. It clearly limits the contact to a defenseless offensive or defensive receiver to incidental contact as a result of making a play on the ball, contact initiated with open hands, or attempting to wrap up the receiver. So the receiver doesn't see you and you tackle that receiver as soon as they catch the ball, there's nothing wrong with that. Even if they don't see you, they go up on the sideline or heck, middle of the field, they come down, they make the catch, and you make a wrapping motion and you tackle that kid, but it happens to be a hard, forceful tackle, there's no penalty on that. It's when you lead with your shoulders, when you try to lay that kid out and there is no intent of tackling. By definition, you're just looking to hit. That is where that flag for the defenseless receiver can come. Doesn't happen to even be for an incomplete pass. This can be on an incomplete pass. Okay. If they make contact with open hands, this is going to be more of your blindside block where they're making contact with open hands, or even better, they do a basketball pick. That's a block. I mean, it's gotten to the point where you got to use open hands. It's still got to be in front. It can't be a block in the back or a clip or anything like that. But if you're using open hands and you just happen to be really strong, you got a great bench press, even though it's not the most important exercise out there, but that kid can bench press 300 pounds. Okay. If they use open hands, they're good. And if they're making a play on the ball, they're good. So let's not be so quick to jump on this and to penalize the players for that. Now, again, we are looking out for the players' safety. That is our ultimate goal here. Make sure that everybody goes home after the game, goes back to mom and dad, aunt and uncle, whomever it may be. But sometimes it happens. Okay, this is a violent collision sport, and sometimes this does happen. Injuries do occur. Unfortunately, concussions do happen. But if we can limit it by how the hitting is going on, okay, that's going to be on us. So a major focus of the NFHS Rules Committee is to promote uniform enforcement of this illegal contact on a defenseless player across the entire country. This is something that everybody is being told is a point of emphasis. It's imperative that players truly understand what the contact is that's acceptable. And the players must realize that it's ultimately their responsibility for when they're making the contact. Game officials must demonstrate an awareness of what contact is necessary to make a legal block or tackle and what is considered excessive and in some cases flagrant. Now, here's where we possibly can have an individual be thrown out of the game, be ejected from the game. If it's a targeting penalty, if they're lowering their head and they're truly going after this player, helmet to helmet, blindside, it is something that we can disqualify a player from the game for. So we don't want to do it. Again, talk to the players preseason wise. Let's get them knowing what is going on and what our expectations are. And hopefully we can limit this from happening. So the game officials need to demonstrate the awareness. And when in doubt, the game officials should throw the flag for the illegal contact and should be supported in doing so. Again, we're looking out for the long-term success of the high school player, okay, to limit the injuries. All right, ladies and gents. So that is episode, again, 1AV. episode 1 after Verizon. Again, a shorter episode. Wanted to get the content out there, being I was delayed with my Verizon issues. But once again, thank you for the support. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for the commentary about my Verizon. Well, I'm just going to stop saying them. It's like to me right now, Verizon is an inadvertent whistle. It's just something I don't want to say or hear anymore. So I'm going to be done with them and I'm going to be moving on. So, but once again, go to that YouTube channel. Okay. Check it out. Go on there. Hit that subscribe button. YouTube / @Mike D the referee. Okay. The more that we can get it out there, the more views it gets, the bigger our community is going to grow. And also check out my partners at vetstoRefs.com. Okay, doing awesome things. And I know their numbers have gone up in the last couple months with their registrations. And again, this is not just for football, but for all sports. So please go out, check them out. We will be back to our normal time frame of new episodes coming out every Wednesday now that we are good to go here. So with that being said, if you're starting your scrimmages next week, good luck. If you have any questions, reach out to me, Mike D the referee @gmail.com. And let's have some fun this season and keep everybody safe. Take care.